Hello everyone, this is Cobus Visser speaking, and welcome to my story today. And I'm going to share with you and hopefully inspire you and also give you a few tools that can make you even more successful going forward. Now, I am a motivational speaker, keynote speaker, and I've had the opportunity to speak in front of thousands and thousands of people. And my story is about bringing people hope and inspiring people to discover their greatness inside of them. And this is why I'm here today. I hope that I can ignite some fire in you to go live your purpose and your passion. Now, for me, 2020 is about crashing it, and I live by words every year. There's this phrase that I will get, and to give you an example, whatever it takes is one of those phrases, and whatever it takes means for me is that you can't blame anyone, you can't give excuses. You have to take responsibility for your action, and you have to do whatever it takes to make it a success. Live without regret is when I visited my grandmother and I heard all the people about what they regretted of not achieving in their life. And then raising my standard is always taking it to the next level, always improving, always learning, like on what you're going to learn today and on all this whole wellness series, is that you improve yourself to get to the next level. And then for 2020 was about crashing it, and we needed to, because there was this COVID-19 COVID mountain that was in front of us to that we needed to do and go over. So my story starts with going from crawling to wheelchair to crutches to walking again. Now, I was born as a hemophiliac, and a hemophiliac means my blood doesn't clot, and because of all of the bleedings over the years, my joints have disintegrated. Now, in 2014, I woke up one morning, and I know you might not be a doctor that can read x-rays, but according to the doctor, this is bone on bone, and I'm not supposed to be able to walk, and they wanted to fuse my ankles. And the same with my elbows. Here's an example of my right elbow. You can't probably see it now, but I don't have elbows. I don't even have muscles. Now, this is bone on bone. And so this has had an impact on my life, that in 2014, when I woke up, I couldn't walk. I couldn't step any weight on my ankles. And it was just so painful. And as hemophiliac, I just have to inject myself to help the blood clot, and it will get better. And after a few months, it was still not better. As I always say, one day became a week, week became 2 weeks, 2 weeks became a month, month, 3 months, 3 months, 6 months. And at the end of the day, it ended up being almost 2 years that I struggled with my ankles. And the only way that I could move around was moving and crawling. I had to crawl where I wanted to be, and because it was just sometimes challenging to be in a wheelchair because I don't have strength in my elbows, and my elbows is also most of the time in pain. The doctor said, Cobus, we need to fuse your ankles for your help with the pain, and we need to, how can I say, replace your elbows. And at not even just past 30 years old, that idea of living like this for the rest of my life was just too daunting, and I would rather see if there wasn't something else that I could do, and how can I conquer this in the end of the day, because the challenges was just there. Just a small bump will create bruises like this on my leg, and then people ask me, where do you get that from? I'm like, just a small bump. And because I bleed underneath the skin, and I bleed very easily. Now, like I told you in the beginning, I ended up being in a wheelchair in 2014. I still had to motivate people to get on. And I think that is the one thing that I want to share with you. What were some of the lessons on my journey that I learned that can empower you to move forward? And one of those lessons is to never give up, and how do we never give up? How do we conquer these mountains that are in front of us? And hopefully with my story today, I can inspire you that no matter what pain is in front of you, you can move through that pain. Because the pain is just for that moment. I remember still how I was in pain that time, looking at the scratches and the pain because of the crutches underneath my arms, is that, through all this pain, at that time, I thought, will this never go away? But today I can walk without my crutches. I can do crazy things, and I'm going to tell you about it. But in the end of the day, whatever pain is in front of you, it's just for the time being, and it's there to make you stronger and for you to be awakened to see what tools do you need to conquer this so that it doesn't come back. Now, the first thing is for me on this journey is for you to figure out what your why is, because if your why is strong enough, you will figure out the how. No matter what dreams you have, no matter what goals you have, if your why is strong enough, you will be able to achieve it. And I will share with you a little bit of my story. Why is so important? Now, The first part of my story, my why, was my two little boys, Tian and Vian. Now, Tian and Vian has had a big impact in my life. Where Tian, my oldest, when he was born, I couldn't pick him up. We get to the hospital, and because I don't have the strength in my elbows and my arms, and I'm in pain, I couldn't pick him up and I couldn't hold him. Now, when the second son was born, Vian, it got to a point where Tian was drawing a letter or a picture. This is the picture he was drawing. And at the bottom, we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. And he drew that, and you will see the girl at the right bottom had a crossover. And he says, Daddy, Daddy, I don't want a little sister I want a little brother that can play with me because you can't play with me. And his mom, and there God gets to him, and he got to me, and I see this cross over me as well. And in his mind, he told me, or not in his mind, but he told me, Dad, you are dead to me. And in his life, I was dead. I wasn't alive, and something had to change. And so, one technique I would love to teach you, because this is a way of passing on love to the world, and especially with COVID, that has stopped us from being able to experience connection, is we need to get connected again. And so, it's a 3-step process. And so, on my journey of learning, I learned how to do the following. One is, it's a hug. But the hug is in a certain way. First is to make eye contact, because the eyes are the windows of the soul. And while making eye contact, is you're also acknowledging the person in front of you, but also I'm seeing you without saying a word. The next step is heart to heart, head going to the right, heart to heart. And then the third step is breathe in together and breathe out. Your heart is love, and breathing in together 20 seconds or longer with someone that you care for releases serotonin, and serotonin is good for you. And so I suggest you go out and hugging, because a few years later, this was the impact of our hugging. That we were moving to Pretoria, and he drew this picture, and on this picture you will see there's no cross over me. And when he got to me, he says, Dad, you're alive. And I believe it's because of doing the hug, because the hug has been a big thing in our life, and at all of my presentations. Now, one thing that I do as a keynote speaker, a motivational speaker, is I don't only speak, I get people to walk over fire. And so the hugging is the first process of getting people ready to walk over fire. And I remember this day when he was in the audience telling the story for the first time. He came up, we hugged, and he cried, and he said, Dad, I was young, I didn't know what I was doing, please forgive me. Because the way I probably was talking to the audience about it. But I told him, my son, everyone is hugging. Look at that. This story of ours are going to impact the whole world. And so every time that we see each other, he's like, Dad, I want my hug. And this is why it's so important is are you ready to go and have an impact in the world? And we need to start somewhere, and we need to learn strategies. So please, if you can pay it forward by giving people a hug, even if you don't love giving hugs, it's not about you. It's about the people that you're giving this hug to. They might just need that love for that few moments, and realize that somebody cares for them. And then there's my little one. He's the little Superman. I'm known as Superman of Africa. Well, this is Superboy. He's crazy. He does everything his dad does and even more. He likes the challenge. And so one thing that he loves to do is walk on fire. He was 2.5 years old. He's so far the youngest fire walker in the world that I know of that has walked over fire. And just because he sees what his dad is doing. So, find mentors, people that is doing the impossible. And I think that's the next lesson. People that does something like that, follow them and learn from them, so that you can also do the impossible. The one thing that I learned from a movie by Will Smith is that fear is not real. The only place that fear can exist is in our thoughts of the future. We're thinking about COVID 2021. Is it going to be better? Is it going to be bad? And fear of the future, what can be. It's a product of our imagination causing us to fear things that is near insanity. Do not misunderstand me. Danger is really real. But fear is a choice. And so you can either accept the fear, or you can be like my little worm walking on fire and conquering that fear of 500 to 600 degrees Celsius. And people always ask us, but why walk on fire? I say it's not about walking on fire. It's about conquering that fear. It's about making choice. When other areas in your life are you not making choice, because fear is disempowering you and taking your energy away. And so, end of the day, this is the main thing that I get people to do, is experiencing walking over 500 to 600 degrees Celsius of fire. Now, on this journey, I want you to realize the importance of dreaming and setting goals. Now, some of the goals that is important for you to set is have a dream, have a vision board. What do you envision for yourself? Now, one of those things was for me, it was healthy bones and joints, and I got that. And the next one was to get out of my situation. And so, in my situation, what is some of the dreams that I wanted to do? And so, one of those dreams, I wanted to work with sports teams because I could never work with sports teams. Now, in 2017, I got the great opportunity, and never knowing it, I put it on my vision board. I was called up to be the mental strength coach with the Southern Kings and helping them with the culture. And that year, by just changing the culture, by having a dream, by having a goal and a vision, they went and had their best campaign ever that they have ever had, and they almost got into the finals. And it's so important that somewhere you have to start. So no matter how dire your future looks like, because their future was dire, nobody gave them a chance, and yet they won the top teams in South Africa and the top teams in Australia and in Argentina and in Japan. At the end of the day, by just having a dream, by just having a vision of what you want to achieve. But the next dream I had to get was to challenge myself, because I was supposed to be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. And I watched one night a documentary, and the documentary was about a guy in a wheelchair and then a guy in crutches climbing Kilimanjaro. And I said, well, let me go and climb Kilimanjaro. And it's amazing once you have a focus and a dream, and you constantly focus on it, and you constantly take steps towards it, how you attract everything towards that in the end of the day. So I decided that I'm going to climb Kilimanjaro. And at the end of the day, I set myself a goal. Nobody believed in me, but I knew that if my goal is big enough and my why is strong enough, I will figure out the how. And so in 2018, I got the opportunity to, with most amazing people, to go and climb Kilimanjaro. Now, Kilimanjaro, for those who don't know, is the highest freestanding mountain in the world and one of the highest 7 mountains in the world as well, and the highest mountain in Africa. Now, this is the opportunity, and one of these lessons was to learn that you need to surround yourself with people that believe in you and your dream. And with them, I had the opportunity through pain for 7 days on the mountain. I couldn't walk, I had constant pain. I got the opportunity to go climb the highest mountain of Africa. But here's the thing. No matter whatever dream you're going to go for and going to face, is that you need to realize is that there's going to be challenges on your way. Now, on this morning, looking at on our summer day, just below Stella Point, and Stella Point is the rim of the mountain, or on top of the mountain. We were sitting there, and I gave up. And at that moment, I just couldn't. I just didn't have the energy to go further. And for me, at that moment, looking at the higher sunrise in Africa, I gave up. And then my friend with me, a good friend, and this is why support is so important, said, Cobus, let's go down. I will go down with you. And I said, no, go climb this mountain for us. And one thing that stood by me at that moment is when he greeted me with the hug, is that he said to me, Cobus, just remember why you came to climb this mountain. And he left. And the moment I remembered my why, I got energy again, and I could push towards the top of the mountain on my crutches through pain. In the end of the day, I just got to Stella Point, but I did get on top of that mountain. I conquered that mountain. And that is one thing I want to tell you and share with you today, is that no matter what mountain is in front of you, if you have a strong enough why, nothing can stop you. No matter, no pain, no economy, no nothing. Yes, is it going to be difficult? Of course it's going to be difficult. But the thing is, it's for us to push through to be able to make it. Now, there's something that I would love to share with you. And it's a quote by Gandhi that says, everything starts with a belief that becomes our thoughts, that becomes our words, that becomes our actions are habits, our habits are values, and that ultimately leads to our destiny. Now, if you want to change our destiny, we need to change our beliefs first about what is possible and on ourselves, because that becomes our thoughts on a daily basis. And you can see the words people speak is what they think on a daily basis, because life and death is in the power of the tongue. So for those who love to use it, will bear the fruits of it. And that is what it means. So you can create your destiny by changing your beliefs. And that's why I love the fire walking. Because if you can walk over fire of 500 to 600 degrees Celsius not getting burned, if you can do that, you can do anything. Just imagine the thought process after that, and the words and the actions you can take. And that's just why it's so important that you can't fail. It's only feedback that you will receive in the end of the day. So you can't fail. And knowing that you can't fail and you can just learn on your process, That makes the life so much easier. Next lesson that I learned on this journey is the importance of having a coach. You know, if you want to be a bodybuilding coach, if you want to be successful in business, if you want to succeed at something, you need to get to that process where you have someone that guides you and sees the things that you don't see to get you to take action and get results. So I'm going to teach you, one lesson that I also learned from others. Why keep on doing the same mistakes over and over? You can learn from other people's mistakes. And that is one amazing lesson about that. Okay, so let's look at what are some lessons that we can do. One is always in the mind. You need to take on our mind that whatever you held in mind, then go. If you continue less, you always believe to act always. And this is the gun, just the way. If you continue to act always, you will continue to get what you always got. If you want a different result in your life, all you have to do is change your mind. And that is where the power is. Now, what is the hard way? Is there a hard way in life, or is there easy way? Now, I'm going to share some a few more tips about how to make it easier. Now, the first secret is I want you to learn that you focus on one thing at a time. There is no such thing as multitasking. One to focus on one thing at a time. And the reason for that is because all of your energy goes towards it. Now, what is taking your time is not having a approach of focusing on everything, and that's why most people don't succeed, because they're all over the place. And once you get to a point where you focus on one thing at a time. Multitasking is one bad of multitasking too much is not healthy. So I want to teach you learn to become more present. When you are taking a walk, take your surroundings, the weather, the birds. When you are spending time with friends, listening to what is being said. Turn off this phone of yours and get running this in your head. Second secret. I want you to set aside time your body. Exercise. I will every single morning because I can't jump. I will exercise the most because physical and mental health hand in hand. If you want to have a healthy body, because you can't do it separate. So if your mind is because you're not moving, exercising, like yoga and other forms of CrossFit, etc. It's so important. Zumba, it's so important for you because you need to work on your health, move your body. The third thing is I want you to give yourself daily mindfulness. Right. And instead of mindful, become mindful. Learn to learn present and enjoy every single moment. Because life is just, my grandmother passed away that I on birth, and I realized this, at least I had the opportunity this a month to see her because I realized that I needed to be present. Because life goes to a fast, so fast. And that's why he taught me, because he didn't have fun. And that moment he was making eye contact, he was listening to me and what I want to say. And that made me realize the importance of being present. Next one is 12 hours on self-care. And I give yourself every now and then, what's each one. Invest a day to yourself. Look after yourself. And that is one thing that's important. We don't make enough time for ourselves to improve ourselves. Just enjoy. Being so hard on ourselves, just chase, hustle, but also look after yourself so that you can also just relax and forget about your worries and stresses. The next one is to upskill yourself. Go out, learn. I've now in the last 10 years invested over 1.2 million in my self-growth. Now that's about $100,000 a year plus. And so how you are investing in your self-growth and upskilling yourself going forward. Then and I feel that is very important. As also to learn saying things that takes away your energy. Things are honestly your energy because you are saying yes to everything. Then meditate. Now I have a meditation that I share on WhatsApp every single day, and it keeps me accountable. And I think that is the next thing, is that accountability is important. And through that I can meditate every day. And so meditation becomes very important in my life. I love that. I start my day off with meditation. because it takes me an hour to just get out of bed with my joints and everything. So I use that time to meditate, and how you start your day sets the tone of how your day will be. So rather start the day in a meditation, and you have an amazing day moving forward. Because it's all about bringing you relaxed meditation. So the next one is gratitude. Now, gratitude. I think sometimes we don't realize how powerful gratitude can be. Apart from meditation, how can we be gratitude every day? Gratitude is an appreciation of what you already have. You'll never know fulfillment as soon as you commit to making something happen to how it is itself. When you are grateful, fear disappears. Listen to that. When you are grateful, fear disappears. An abundance live every day with an attitude of gratitude. Gratitude changes everything. I think that is how to get gratitude. So can I teach you the skill and how you can create gratitude on a daily basis? Now, that secret is by having a journal. Now, journaling starts in the process. Now, before I show you the steps, it's all about how you enjoy your day. So we're not starting how you start your day. No, we're going to start how you enjoy your day. So you're going to have a journal, and at the end of the day, before you go to bed, you write down all of your worries, all of your stresses, everything that is on your mind, your anxiety, and it's like a dam. What happens with water? Water never flows out of the dam. It becomes rotten. It becomes spoiled. It's not good. And the only way they didn't get fresh, you have to go over the hole so that it didn't come in. And it's the same with your body. We need to let out the negative, and the only way I see it is powerful for me is by writing it down, because imagine it flows out of your head on a piece of paper. So write down all your worries before you go to bed, and you will see it change the way you sleep, and you will sleep much better, and less nightmares, etc. The second step is the moment you wake up in the morning, is for me is also important, because your morning when it starts is that. Apart from meditation, is we need to start our day with gratitude. Because now we need to fill in our day that has been empty in us. And we need to fill with things that we are grateful for. And Tony Robbins says the most powerful thing you can do is by changing your physiology, and it will change things. And how do you change your physiology? Well, gratitude is the one thing that changes the fastest. What are you grateful for? So I think that is one thing that you can do and implement is what are you grateful for? Then the step after that is write down your goals and dreams. Whatever goals and dreams you have, or affirmations, that is usually the next step. Because you can write down your goals every day, or wind down all of your goals for the year, but write down the goals and affirmations. And then basically that is about journaling, and journaling is let's recap three steps. Write down negative thoughts. The morning write down being grateful for, write down your goals and affirmations. Now, this is important in this journey that you want to understand. If I tell you the story, this little boy is bored. He wants to play PlayStation. It starts playing PlayStation because it's been locked down. And it comes to his dad, and he points on his dad, and his dad, I want to play. I want to play the same play with me. And that's just not enough time. I'm not budget. Can't do this because he's trenching. And then the mom is also busy reading his paper, looking for opportunities. And so she's irritated, and dad looks at her and he sees at the back of the newspaper there's a map of the world. And so he has this idea, and he makes the map of the world, and he bears it just the small little pieces, and he says to the little boy, he says, here's a puzzle together. And a few moments later, the boy turns. And I look at him and say, wow, that was awesome. Mom, that was so easy. Actually, when I turned the piece of paper around, I realized it was the image of a person. And the moment I fixed the person, I fixed the world. And I think that is one of the basic things to this. If we want to change the world, we need to change ourselves first. And because once we fixed, we can fix and having those around us. But not only that, is that the next step is also, there's a story of the little boy. they're 9 and 10 years old, and it's been snowing, and there's a lake is frozen, and they go out there playing, and they make snowballs, throw each other just snowballs, and the ice is denting this ice very dangerous, but they don't know. So they go and play on the ice, and suddenly the 12-year-old boy disappears underneath the ice and falls down. The little boy waits a flight, he runs off the ice. What is he going to do? He looks and there's a branch and branch like 3 centimeters and he's 9 years old. But he doesn't about it. He goes and grabs that branch and pulls it off. He runs to the ice that is he runs and he looks for his brother and there's his brother. He gives him the branch, pulls him out to the side of the lake. Police arrive, firemen arrive, everyone arrives, and they look at it and they say, wow, how is this possible? And the old lady comes past, and the old lady looks at them and says, yes, they're talking about looking at the scenario and what is happening, and how could this be possible? And at the end of the day, the old lady walks up to them and says, guys, just know that nobody ever in their life told that little boy that it is impossible. That's why he could do it, and that's how he did it. And I think that is the one lesson that teaches me is that we need to believe in ourselves. Not just because someone has told us that it's impossible, that it is going to be impossible. Because a lot of things in our history have been told that it's impossible. People have told us it's going to be impossible to be able to climb Kilimanjaro. And yet, I did it, and I made it possible. Even if it was pain and challenges. And this is saying, why want to be with others and not challenge ourselves to our full potential and what is possible for us. And I think that is the one thing I want to sort of leave you by today. What is those things that you dreamt of when you were young, but you gave up because your eyes were too old, or because of the economy, or because of COVID, you're not able to do that. And there's this one lady that I've been working with recently. She went through this whole steps they've been talking about. And after 10 years, he quit her job in corporate, never started her own business. But because he got a scholarship, because he started generating, because he knew what he was goals to achieve, guess what? She's now a millionaire by following her passion. In the beginning, the first 6 months, the money didn't come. It wasn't as easy as people say, but she learned and pushed through. Guess what? Today he's a millionaire in what he's doing. And I think that is the lesson, is we shouldn't have our dreams, no matter how difficult and challenging it comes and is in the beginning. And that's why if you have the opportunity and you want to know more about me, go follow, I can send you my website, but if you have the opportunity, I'll put in this link, solo.to/Visser, and you can follow me on all social media, where I usually every day share some positivity on your topics and some tips for people to help them achieve what they need to achieve. Now, let's finish this talk, and I want to leave this thoughts. Crash it. What is your word committed for 2020 that is left? But also comparing yourself to 2021. Are you at already raise your standard? Take it to the next level? Are you going to do whatever it takes that is a desire to do it? Because there's no more excuses. There's no more blaming. It's not time responsibility for your actions. It's not time for you to do what you want to achieve in the world. Live with your dream. Life is too short. Don't get to a point where you regret one day that you didn't start following or that you didn't do your passion, that you didn't love enough, that you didn't hug enough, that you didn't pay it forward enough. And I think that is the most amazing thing is to say, thank you for taking the time to listening today, and hope there's 50 minutes that we spend time together, that I could spark something in you that will allow you to follow your dreams and your passions, and hope that some of these secrets have impact on you. And I want to leave you with a quote that is even tattooed on my heart. And it's very close to me because it's me on this journey that I'm going. And it's by Dina. And it says, I'm not here by chance. I'm here for a purpose. That purpose is to go into a mountain and not to sink into a grain of sand. Henceforth, all my efforts to grow to the highest mountain, and I will strain my potential Until it comes for us and listen. Everyone, this is Cobus for saying thank you for listening. I hope you find it. I hope to see you on social media. And thank you for taking time to learn from me. You can only do so much in 30 minutes. I love you all. Hug the hands. Eye to eye. Heart to heart. Let's breathe in. And out.